Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in southern Tasmania. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a little technique that I picked up on Pinterest recently, which I thought I'd try for my own and show you. It's quite an interesting technique in that you get these really nice clear heat embossed lines, and rather than using Versamark, which is the technique that most of us are used to when it comes to heat embossing, you actually use a thin strip of double-sided tape. So that's how you get that effect there. Obviously I've used Versamark for the little sentiment there, but I've used really thin double-sided tape here. So I really thought that was an interesting technique, so I thought I'd show you how I did it. Also, there's a masking technique involved there as well, which I'll show you as well. So the stamp set that I've used for both these little cards is the beautiful Friendship stamp set. This was introduced in the 2019-20 annual catalogue, and I'm happy to say that it's actually continuing in the 2020-21 catalogue as well. So it is one of my favourite stamp sets. And so I'm really pleased that we can continue featuring this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this another copy of this very vanilla and gold one for you. And then I'm going to have a bit of an experiment with a different stamp set and a different cardstock and do a silver version. Let's see how that goes as well. I'm just going to check that my iPad is working and caught up. That sounds all right. Yep, that's good. Okay, so let's get started. For the gold version, or for the very vanilla version, I've got very vanilla thick cardstock, and that's the standard card size for me, which is 8 1/4 by 5 3/4 inches, and scored in the middle, just for a standard card base. I've got a panel of gold foil, and that's been cut 1/2 inch smaller, so that's actually fits with quite a large border there. And then I've got another panel of very vanilla normal weight cardstock, which is cut just a small bit smaller, tiny bit smaller than the gold. So we've just got a tiny little gold border there. Now if you're saving your gold cardstock, I would recommend that you can cut out a square or a rectangle in the middle there, save that bit for the next project, and to be honest, you'd be none the wiser. So that's a good way of preserving your gold cardstock. Anyway, so at the moment I'm just going to need the stamping panel, the small one. The beautiful Friendship cards stamp set I'm using is a photopolymer one, which means it's clear. And when I do stamping with these, I always introduce the little foam mat from my Stamparatus, or just a silicone mat, whatever you've got handy, just to help the stamp make more of a complete inking on your paper. So I'm going to turn that sideways because that's the way I want it. And I'm going to, the masking technique that we're going to do first uses just normal painter's masking tape. So that's about 1 inch wide, I suppose, a couple of centimetres. So it's just under 1 inch. It's like 15/16 of an inch, or 2.4 centimetres wide. And I've just got myself enough just to go diagonally across my piece of cardstock like this. So just from one corner to the other, and there you go. So that's your little mask that's going to give us that nice clear area in the middle. So this is the stamp set, and the colours I'm going to be using are quite a few. I'm going to be using Flirty Flamingo, which is our main big bloom. I'm going to do its petals, the little in Lovely Lipstick, which, keep in mind, Lovely Lipstick is retiring next month. Then I'm going to use the Blackberry Bliss, Rococo Rose, Granny Apple Green and Coastal Cabana, just as various other things as well. So let's get stamping. So this big beautiful bloom from the stamp set, I'm going to just pop that on a big block. And as I mentioned, in the Flirty Flamingo, I'm going to stamp that one. Forgive the wobbles. Try and make it as wobble free as possible. As I've mentioned a couple of times, my craft room is on a very wobbly floor, and there's not much I can do about it until I can take over one of the kids' bedrooms once they leave home. Okay, so we'll stamp that one. There we go. And I'm going to sort of have a sort of a mirror image or sort of that sort of thing, so I'm going to put another one of those down here at the bottom. There we go. Just give that a clean. So these beautiful flowers have a separate stamen, or the centre part. So I'm just going to bring those in. So the big one for the big flower. So I'm going to do that in Lovely Lipstick. But you just want a pink that's slightly darker than the pink you're using or the colour that you're using for the main bloom. Okay. Yes, I am going to miss that Lovely Lipstick. That's a beautiful colour. I'll probably keep using it for my own things, but we won't sort of demonstrate it anymore, unfortunately. Okay, so that one there. And I think just adding those little flower insides really adds another sort of a dimension to those blooms. It brings them up a step. Okay, so that's that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in this beautiful large, I'll find my large block, there it is, this beautiful large like hydrangea type flower. It's a big cluster of small blooms there. And I'm going to do that in Coastal Cabana, which is like a nice aqua blue green, probably more green. I'm going to stamp that off once because I don't want the full effect. I just want a hint. There we are. There we go. Cool. So we've got a bit of a background flower happening there. I hate blank. I'm going to cover it all. I'm going to cover it all. I hate the blanks, the little spaces. Okay, so we've also got this cute one, which is sort of like a lilac sort of flower, which is really, really nice. And I'm going to bring that in with the Rococo Rose. Hopefully none of these colours will be so strong that they'll overbear everything else. And then they've got this, it's another little one, it's a cute little couple of buds. I'm going to do this one as well. And this one would have danger of overbearing. I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss, which is a beautiful strong colour, so I'm definitely going to stamp this off once before I bring it in. There we are. So it's just a hint. I don't want it too strong. There we are. And then I'm going to use my green, my Granny Apple Green, and pop some flowers, some leaves around, just some background foliage. And I find that this really lifts it. If it was looking a bit bland before, the green of the leaves really sort of lifts it a little bit. So I'll use my Granny Apple Green. Just pop the leaves in. Now, as usual, when you're stamping, make sure you're stamping on a surface that you don't mind getting a little bit inky, because when we go off the edge here, you do get a little bit of ink elsewhere. Okay, so I think that's probably enough. You know when to say enough is enough. and that's really good. Excellent. Okay, so now the next thing we do, let's get rid of that, is just very gently, very carefully remove our masking tape. You don't want to rip any of your cardboard, your cardstock underneath. And there you have a lovely blank surface, or a blank panel just in the middle there. Okay, so now we're going to bring in our double-sided tape and our embossing. So I've got here 3mm wide, so I suppose that's 1/8 of an inch or something, just under 1/8 of an inch actually. So 3mm wide double-sided tape. This is not Stampin' Up double-sided tape, because the standard Stampin' Up double tape is 6mm wide, which I think is just a little bit clunky for this. So what I'm going to do is pop the double-sided tape onto our two edges of our blank space, just like that. And I've lost my favourite scissors, so I'm going to have to find them. They might have dropped on the floor, and just trim it to the edge, just so it's flush with the edge of your card. And then do the same on the other side. There we go. There. Okay. So at this stage I'll bring in my Versamark ink, which I'm going to need for my sentiment. And the sentiment I'm going to use the same one. It's Congratulations here. So I want a sort of a fairly long, slender sentiment. So I'm going to use that one. And I'm going to just traditionally emboss that with our Versamark ink. So I'll bring in my buddy. So this is a very handy little thing if you have trouble getting your embossing powder to stay in one spot. It's like takes all the moisture and the oil off the cardstock, so that when you put your Versamark ink on, it's the only thing there that your powder should stick to, in theory. Just do that there. Okay, so that's clear. Everyone who's used Versamark ink knows that this particular one is clear. And so when I bring in my powder, and where's my little thingy? I have a little piece of card that I protect my, where is it gone? No, I'll just use normal cardstock. Okay, so I'll pop that under there. I'll bring in my, first of all, you remove the backings of your double-sided tape. Now, let's see how we go. Now just sprinkle this. Don't worry that it looks really, really thick, because we do put most of it back into the jar. Bit of a flick to remove the excess. Okay, there we are. Tiny little bit at the end there where it's a little bit thin. There. Cool. So that's gone quite well. So I've got my congratulations there in the middle, and I've got my two nice clear lines of powder. So I'm just going to pop this excess back into my little pot. Try and not make any mess. I've got a little bit of mess there, just clean that off. Okay, so there, I'm going to bring in my heat gun now, so just forgive the noise, and we'll watch this as it turns. Oh, it's not plugged in. So just as it heats up, and it turns our embossing powder a beautiful shade of gold. Just as it heats up, and hopefully you'll be able to see that as it turns. Now the other side. Sorry, you can't quite see that, can you? Okay, I think that's all turned. It's all melted. Excellent. Okay, so that's what we've done with our heat embossing. We've actually got this really lovely sort of thick and straight lines there with our sentiment in the middle, a little bit there. Okay, so now we'll just finish making this card up. I'll bring in my foil, my gold foil, and I'm going to actually pop it on with double-sided tape, just because when you heat emboss it does kink the paper a little bit, so I want it to sit flat straight away rather than having to wait till the glue cures. So we'll just pop 4 lots of double-sided tape here. There goes a car. Okay, 1, 2. Trimmed my fingernails this morning. It was probably not a good timing. 3 and 4. And we'll just pop that on our gold, just like that, just as even as you can. Trouble with the double-sided tape is that it's not as forgiving as our glue. You've got to have it in the right place straight away. Okay, so that one, and then onto our card base, just like that. So I will use glue for that. And I might pop a little bit of gold bling on there as well, just to add a little bit more. You can never have too much bling, or maybe you can. So I'm going to bring in the gilded gems, which are new in the 2020-2021 catalogue, and they're a really nice sort of metallic gem, which I think will go really nicely with the metallic gold foil. So I'm just going to add a couple of those. Maybe a little one there. And a larger one. Actually, I think one's enough now I look at it. I think one will be enough, just where I've got it there, just on there, just near that congratulations. There you go. So how's that? Hope you like that. Give that a go. That's really, really something a little bit special with the gold there. Not the gold isn't special enough, but yeah, so it's really like that. And I really like the way it emphasises the flowers from the beautiful friendship set. Okay, so that's the first one. So that's the one I've done a couple of times. So now we're going into the uncharted territory a little bit. I'm going to make a silver version. I'm going to swap stamp sets. I'm going to swap to another one of my favourites, the Positive Thoughts stamp set, which thankfully is also continuing in the 2020-2021 catalogue. So I'm going to use this one. And my favourite colours to use with this one are Petal Pink and Pear Pizzazz, which are beautiful in their own right. Okay, so let's have a go. I'm going to do something very similar to the way we did the other one. So I've got the same sort of cardstock cut, and I'm going to do the same masking. I'll find the masking tape. We should put things back where they were. Where are you, masking tape? Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to again bring it across diagonally. I did one the other day with this stamp set, just one, and I didn't like it. I threw it out, but I went that way, and there just didn't seem enough room for the stamps. So diagonally, you seem to get a little bit more room to do some stamping on either side. Okay, so I'm going to do the flowers. This is a pretty flower. It's sort of a realistic looking stamp set in a way. It's sort of, yeah, it's a bit modern looking, but it's really, really nice. So in the Petal Pink, I'm going to do the flower, and this is where I haven't been before because I did it actually. I'm going to do, sorry, rethink. I'm going to do the green. I'm going to do the structure of the leaves first before I put the pretty flowers on. There you go. Just rewind slightly. So this is the Pear Pizzazz with our beautiful fern leaf. I just wanted to give it the structure of the leaves first before I build the flowers around it. Bring that back to do some more in a minute. So now I know where to put my flowers so they don't overlap too much. Excuse my croaky voice. That's better. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And then I'm going to bring back the leaf, and I'm just going to pop little bits, just cover in some blank spaces with some leaf. And I'm going to use like Stamped Off as well, so I'll get different shades of green, sort of lighter green in various places. Just the tip of it just showing in through the edge. There we go. There's only two colours in that one, but I think it's okay because they're lovely colours. Yeah, I think I'll leave that the way it is. Don't want to overdo it. Okay, so again, we just very carefully bring off our... Oh, and that's why you've got to be careful, because I've just ripped it. Very carefully. I'll come from the other end. I hope to retrieve that rip. It's there, unfortunately. Oh well, a little bit more carefully than that. I was just getting a bit distracted. Okay, things are cluttering in around me now. Okay, so we're going to do, we'll plough on. I'll bring back the double-sided tape. That's the thick one, I want the thin one. I'll bring back the double-sided tape. Here we are. And pop it down the edges again. So there to there. same on the other side. Just trim it flush with the edge of the card. Yeah. And again, I'm going to do that congratulations sentiment in traditional heat embossing, so but with the silver powder this time. Just in there. I wonder if it'd be nice at either end, just for something different. No, I'll stick to the middle. Stick to what you know. Oh, buddy, nearly went down and stamped without using my buddy. Okay, let's try again. There we are. And I'll bring back my little sheet of cardstock, and this time we're using silver embossing powder. So I'll take the ends off my double-sided tape. Just like this. Sorry, not much talking today, but you can hopefully see what I'm doing. The bird in the tree outside, he's having a bit of a talk. Okay, so bring in the powder. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, a little bit thin there. I'm actually just going to bring in a little brush because there are some bits around. Now the good thing with the double-sided tape is that it's quite sticky, and therefore it keeps hold of its embossing powder a lot better, or a lot firmer than the Versamark ink, so you can actually clean it up a little bit more rigorously than you may normally do. Okay, so that's pretty good. Get rid of the excess into the pot. Quick wipe. And back with the tool, use the noise with the heat gun. Okay, so this one's turning a beautiful, bright, shiny silver. I'll turn it around the other way so you can see it through the window, through the light through the window. There we go. There we go, almost there. Just this other side here. And that's done. Okay, so we've got that there. It's a shame about that bit of paper there, but that's okay. That's fine. I'm sure you guys would be much more delicate with it than I am. So there we are, we have our silver version. So what I'm going to do is bring in the silver foil, and again with the double-sided tape on the back. Just there and there. 2, 3. I should remind myself next time to leave my thumbnail long when I trim my fingernails for double side tape removal. There we go. Line that up. That's very pretty. I love those colours. Love that stamp set, to be honest. That's the Positive Thoughts, remember? And then onto my card base. And I might bring a little silver gem in. I've got some up there. Oh, wrong way. Here we are. And I'll just grab a little rhinestone. If I can find one. Oh. There we go. Just grab a little basic rhinestone here. Let's see if I can put one and cover over where that, slightly where that rip is there. There we go. Yeah, that's quite sweet. There we go. So just a couple of little rhinestones on that one, just so you don't notice the rip so much. There we go. So that's the silver version. Hopefully you like both of those. So I've got my silver version there and my gold version with my 2 different stamp sets and my 2 different card bases. So there we are. We have the Positive Thoughts with the silver and the Beautiful Friendship with the gold. So, and that is our masking tape gold embossed technique. There you go. I would have liked to have thought I'd invented it, but I know I didn't because I got it from Pinterest. But anyway, so there you are. That's the Julianne version of the the double-sided tape heat embossing technique. So thanks very much for watching. If you live in Australia and you haven't got an active Stampin' Up demonstrator, please send me a message. Pop over to Facebook and find my, follow the links in the comments and find my business page, and you can contact me through there. I'm looking forward to sharing very soon some new products from the 2021 catalogue, which hopefully my pre-order, my sneak peek order should arrive next week. So hopefully next weekend I'll actually have some brand new products to share with you. So have a great weekend, have a great week, and I will see you all next weekend.